Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. I'm here once again with Zach Parkerson. What's up, man?
I'm still here.
You are still here.
Man, we just dragging ourselves out every week to record these intros.
Yes. Well, just as a heads up, if this is your first time listening to the Gaming Outsider podcast, the episode you're about to hear is not a normal episode. Normally, each week we do our news roundup. We talk about some video game related topic, and then we talk about the games that we've been playing before wrapping up for the show. This week, we are taking our second week off. To be perfectly blunt, we needed a bit of a break. So rather than doing a normal episode this week, we have decided to spend that time with our families and try to get caught up and rejuvenated before we head into the new year, where we're going to kick things off with our Game of the Year episode. So stay tuned next year for that. But in the meantime, we wanted to give you something a little bit extra. Zach, what are we giving to him?
We got, oh man, a nice roundup of our outside-in topics throughout the year, as chosen by the illustrious myth, legend, the man, Nate Lucas, our producer.
Yeah, he picked them all out. We gave him full free reign to pick out his favorites, and you're going to listen to those right now. They're so fresh, we don't even know which ones he picked. It's going to be a surprise for us. That
was the fun. Nate, he picked the best of the cream of the crop, as it were.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of my favorite things that we do in the Gaming Outsider is these video game related topics, because it's so funny. I feel like, Zach, every week when I put one up, you're kind of like, well, this is never going to work. That topic is not going to, we're going to talk about that for 10 minutes. And then it turns into a 45-minute conversation. You're like, wow, that actually worked out pretty well. So
yeah, I feel like every time I'm like, hey, good job, Scott. Didn't know you had it in you. Well, you know what makes it so good is that the community gets so involved and that kind of springboards discussion.
That is great. We always have the community kind of weigh in on Facebook and Twitter and Discord, and we kind of share their comments, and it makes a very community-focused topic, and I love it. So without further ado, here are the From the Outside In topics as chosen by Mr. Nate Lucas, and we hope you guys enjoy them. For our topic this week, we actually have Thomas Bex to thank for the idea. He posted in our Discord server about how he had recently hit a bit of a slump when it came to gaming. I think we've all had those moments in time where we just don't feel like picking up a controller for a while. We're going to talk about our own experiences with gamer fatigue and what we've done to shake it. So what about you guys? Am I correct in assuming that you've had your own gaming funks in the past?
Sure, I'm having one right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I have just... outside of Monster Boy, which I played for the sake of the show, I don't think I had played a game for like 10 or 12 days.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty big when you do a gaming podcast.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But luckily that Monster Boy came out, I guess. But you know what I mean? Oh boy, is it Koenig Ford 11? Put it pretty well. This happens every once in a while. Fortunately, I have many other hobbies to spend energy on until I feel like playing again. I think the longest I spent away from a game I enjoy was about a month.
By the way, that's Kevin Honigford. He's one of our newest Patreon supporters.
Oh, Honigford. Okay. K. Honigford.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's just weird. You just kind of get tired of everything, and then maybe new games aren't coming out, and you don't feel like going to the backlog, and you're not in the mood to replay anything. But luckily, there's dozens of other things to do with your life.
Oh yeah, there's always something I could be doing besides gaming. I just usually prioritize games because I'm a nerd. So
yeah, well, because games are it's the best way to tell stories.
You said that numerous times. I remember. Do you ever come home from work and you're so tired that you just look at your TV and go, "I'm too tired to turn on my console and play a game right now. I just want to do nothing, just stare at the wall."
Yeah, and then you just play on your phone for 30 minutes.
Not once ever have I thought that.
Really?
Nope.
Interesting.
I mean, for sure have.
I mean, come on. I work a 24-hour shift and I still come home and play games.
Well, that's just crazy. You work for 24 hours without sleep, and then you come home and you still play games. Do you ever sleep? People make fun of me for saying I don't sleep.
About 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Wow.
Pure insanity.
That is kind of insane.
It took me a good couple years to get used to it, but now if I get more than 6 hours of sleep, I just feel like I'm dragging the whole day.
So it's worse if you sleep more. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So you tried not sleeping at all?
Multiple times. I think it was last year I actually worked a 72-hour shift.
Good Lord. I can't even. I remember like if I stay up all night, like do an all nighter playing games or something, I'm destroyed the next day. Like I can't function.
Yeah, I mean, I came over this morning and played some games with you and everything, and I had just gotten off work.
Yeah, don't worry. I mean, Resident Evil 2 is coming out. I will play some games.
Oh yeah,
It's just
I'm right there with you.
It's just a matter of usually when I kind of get in this funk and I don't feel like replaying anything, I just kind of wait for the next big game I care about. And even if I don't feel like it, I'll force myself to buy it because I know I'll like it. And then it'll get those juices flowing again.
There you go.
But Josh Sislo came in with an interesting hot take. Sislo. Charge response from Josh Sislo. I'm great with names today. I have had fatigue, but not gamer fatigue, more like industry fatigue. It's tired of the same old, same old. Let's remaster this and making the same game over and over and over. Zero Company is really pushing the boundary of video games. Feels more and more like just to make a quick buck. So far, only thing I find fun on games is playing with friends because it's more of the social thing than the game itself. Hot take.
That is interesting. I mean, what's the last like video game industry changing game that we had? I mean, you could say that like Battle Royale kind of changed multiplayer games. You could say the Souls games has made their own genre. What else has changed?
I guess Battle Royale would be the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
that's the only thing that's really popping out to me.
Yeah, I remember lamenting before the Battle Royale thing came to fruition. I was kind of lamenting that no new genres had been made this generation. Because you could look back at the Souls-like or even the Minecraft inspired a bunch of new stuff last generation, but this generation it's kind of been largely the same formulas.
Well, we keep buying
same
them.
Templates. Yeah, mostly. But I brought up his comment because I do kind of feel it in the big AAA games. Like I don't really play a lot of the open world Ubisoft style games anymore because they just kind of started feeling the same, and haven't a lot of multiplayer focused stuff, a lot of games as a service, and it feels less and less are we getting a focus on single player big games other than PlayStation's first party.
Well, I remember when the Toys to Life thing, we thought that was going to be a big thing last gen. Remember that?
Well,
it was for a while.
I guess you could consider that like a new genre. It kind of fell on its face after a year and a half.
I would say it wasn't even a new genre, though. It was kind of a new gimmick.
Right.
Because the games themselves were still just mostly platformers.
Right.
Yeah.
Just happened to have a pretty sick system where you could put your character's life.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that I think it was even like there was a Playmation ones that you could get at Walmart that they tried with the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, I saw those.
So, I mean, there was a few companies trying to get in on the craze, so.
Yeah, I wanted Starlink to succeed. I think it's a good gimmick. I like them.
Yeah.
It's just as an adult, you have to start valuing your space more.
Thanks for reminding me about that game. I haven't even opened it yet.
I want to play it.
I've got it on my console and I haven't even fired it up. It's literally installed on my Xbox One and I've never played it.
I like the Starships. They don't make a lot of space opera-y games.
No Man's Skylanders.
I'm not gonna ever. No Man. I will never play No Man's Sky.
Why is that?
Never.
Just because of the principle?
Yeah, because they lied directly on late night national television, and then everyone's supposed to forgive them because they updated it a year later. I don't think so.
It made you rebuy it?
I mean, I still prefer Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I keep meaning to buy that on a sale, but it looks too intimidating.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of that game.
Yeah.
It's real big.
Well, I mean, just even like docking and stuff just seems scary. Like it's
It's not that bad.
You have to ask permission to dock. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they put a lot into it. It's just a very, very, very big game.
in scope, or like the map is that big. What do you mean by big?
The map is I like when they're like, oh, No Man's Sky, they're like, oh, there's 16 septillion planets. I was like, there's already a game that does that, which was Elite Dangerous.
It has a 1-to-1 recreation of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It is stupid huge.
Wow. Talk about big game maps.
That is huge.
But I don't agree with Josh that the industry is completely broken. I think indie games kind of push a lot of narrative boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Iconoclast is a good case of that.
Exactly. But But I do agree. With gameplay mechanics, I feel like haven't progressed this generation as they had previous ones.
Where would you like to see it go? What would you like to change?
Well, let's just say I'm not a game developer. Someone else is going to make that. Someone smarter than me is going to figure out how to make games new and interesting. It's just, I feel like games are just too expensive now, so it seems like companies are too afraid
to take the chance.
The budgets have just become too big.
Right. Yeah, where is this generation's cover system?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Gears brought that about, right?
Yeah, they just totally transformed shooters for an entire console generation.
Think about how long ago that was, and that was a new concept. Or the active reload from Gears. Remember that?
Oh,
cannot believe nobody stole that.
I feel like I've never seen that in any other game. Ever since it was such a brilliant idea.
There's that Japanese, I think, Quantum Theory or Quantum Break or something. Not Quantum Break. No, not Quantum Break. It was a weird game, but it was like Japanese, but it was pretty much just Gears of War. But they had an active reload in that. I'd have to look up the name, but it looked pretty bad.
Well, going back to gamer fatigue a little bit, I found a comment on Discord from Fisher43, and he says, "This happens often for me with games and movies, usually when things are overwhelming in life. I find it hard to just relax enough and engage in entertainment when my mind is caught up in hardship or worry. This is an okay thing for me, keeps me from overdoing it, and I find it helps keep things fresh when I do sit down to play, rather than just grinding something out only to move on to the next thing." I put this one down because it very closely resembled a gaming funk I went through probably about 6 or 7 years ago, where I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, a lot of personal stuff, scary personal stuff going on that I let affect me, and I just could not find joy in anything, even in gaming. I just kind of sat around and was in a funk, and the thing that was supposed to give me joy in life and relieve stress wasn't working because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. So I really appreciated Fisher43's comment because I feel exactly the same way. And I don't want gaming to feel like work for me. Even though we do play a lot more than I used to, because we are on a podcast, and I try to barrel through games a lot of times, so it does kind of feel like work, but it's work I enjoy. But when I sit down and it feels like a job, or I feel like I'm doing it just because I feel like I have to be gaming, then I'm not gonna. I don't want to do it for that reason. I want to do it because I enjoy it, not because I feel obligated. So, also, David Koenig made a comment on Facebook. He said, "I've had it bad the past couple years. I attribute it to the type of games released these days. All the major titles seem to be open world and just way, way too big and long. I am so over it. I have never been huge on multiplayer either, so that doesn't help." And I picked David's comment here because I just got done playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I'm like a huge hypocrite if I say I agree with him because I just put 75 hours in a game. But I agree with him though, because some of the titles that we talked about from last year that we all enjoyed, Zach, A Way Out, the prison escape game was what, 8 hours long?
What a breath of fresh air! 8 hours, just a quick story, no skill trees. No big maps. It was just in and out. Nothing
to collect. You didn't have to worry about it. Just do the game. I think it's funny that that's what we crave now. You know what I mean?
That's because that's what happens, right? You crave all the big open worlds and you get too many of them. So then you start craving the linear single player game. And then we'll get too many of those. And we'll be like, oh, this isn't worth $60. I want open world.
Yeah. We're never happy. We can't be pleased. No,
but you know what? If Assassin's Creed Odyssey was half the length, I think it would have made for a better game.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but
yeah, I know you guys liked it quite a bit more than me. But sometimes I feel you're stretching simple mechanics over too big an area.
But I get where you're coming from with though, because I felt like Red Dead was way, way too long.
Yeah, that's a game that refused to start its own story.
Yeah.
But there's also people that love that story. I mean, obviously the game is selling a ridiculous amount of copies, and people are just raving about the game. And I'm not talking about just some of the bigger outlets that people are having a problem with. People legitimately love that game. We liked Assassin's Creed, but I get what David is saying. it feels like every big release is always this big honking title that we feel like we have to get our money's worth out of it or whatever, for our $60 that we put into it. Give me more $30 titles, like A Way Out, or just like an 8 to 12 hour experience where I can just get in and do the story and move on to the next thing.
I completely agree with it. I actually enjoy having smaller titles I don't have to sit here and sink a whole month into.
Right. I think that's why I'm digging the indie games a lot, because most of those are much shorter.
For me, the perfect kind of game is the 12 to 15 hour, like the Tomb Raiders or the Arkham games. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, the hub and spoke, which I know you love when I say. You just get this like hub area, you get a few little areas, so it still feels open, but it's usually a contained 15-ish hour game. I think that's perfect. Right.
I even got tired in Assassin's Creed and Red Dead, just going from A to B on a horse was
right.
You appreciate it at the beginning because you just realize how big the world is, but after a while it's like, guys, just put me there. I don't want to walk through this and then like it won't let you run your horse through a town or whatever. You got to like walk through it. It's just, let's just get on with it. Let's do this, and then it feels like work.
And it's funny you bring up those two games because obviously the developers knew it was a slog too, because you can just auto set your horse to go for you.
Right.
In both those games.
Yeah, but at that point in time, just give me, like, okay, I've been there once. Give me a fast travel. And Assassin's Creed did. Red Dead didn't. Unless you travel all the way back to your main camp.
In the most convoluted fast travel system in gaming.
Yes. So
it was pretty silly.
What about you? What about you, CB?
Well, I mean, I definitely do suffer from gamer fatigue every now and then. But it's more or less, I get sick of playing one system.
Really? Mr. Xbox?
I've been playing my Switch a lot more lately.
Yeah.
But my Switch and my man, you've known I've owned a PS4 since they came out, and I never really turned it on until I got my PSVR. Now I turn it on all the time. So, and I mean, like Chip Holt, like there was a couple people I'm sitting here like reading through these, and Chip Holt, I definitely get this from now and then. I tend to play one big game at a time. Currently Red Dead on PS4, so good luck. It's going to take you a while. With limited gaming time, doing that helps me to finish games, but also, but it will get stale. What helps me to get out of these games that are just fun to play in short spurts? For instance, I put Red Dead 2 aside to check out Donut County. Good choice. Super fun. Played it all in one sitting. Also picked up my Switch and played some retro games, again, that are fun to play, but not a time sink. That will usually get me excited to get back to whatever the main game I was playing. And I completely agree with this. I mean, as you know, I have a basement full of games. So it's every now and then I'll get stuck on a game and I'll just go downstairs and throw on like Dr. Mario or some other old game to kind of just wipe my brain and allow me to reset a little.
Just reboot your head.
Yeah, I mean, I know you put 75 hours into Assassin's Creed. I think when I was done, I had almost 128 hours into that game.
How did I get a higher level than you then?
Because I did a lot of just walking around.
Apparently.
You did like everything to upgrade your ship.
Right.
Like finding the ancient tablets. I was like, nope, I didn't do that.
Oh, man. I cleared the map, every section.
Nope, wow. Still haven't cleared the map. So
no, I didn't do the whole. I didn't do the whole thing, Zach. But like the first half of the game, I did. After I got to level 50, I was like, I don't need to do this anymore. There's just no point. So,
Scott, do you have any games you go to just kind of erase your brain?
The pinball FX games, because I don't really think about those, and those are more like muscle reflex than There's no story really. It's just you just get in the groove of that game. That's kind of like a zen out game. I used to go back to like the Guitar Hero games. I know you don't like music games at all, but
love Guitar Hero though.
Oh, okay. So you can appreciate it. You don't have to think about it. You just kind of get in the zone and zone out. Recently, it's Beat Saber. Just get in there in that headset and just slash stuff. It's great.
I completely agree with Beat Saber. I've actually been playing Rush of Blood again.
Oh, really? I need to go back and play that. I've only played the demo of that one.
So, and I mean, Bill Gardner,
four-time Patreon winner, Bill Gardner II.
the reigning champ.
The rig man himself. He's like, just happened a couple weeks ago. I have plenty of backlog to play.
Yeah, he does.
Nothing sounded.
Yeah, we keep giving it to him.
We keep giving him his backlog.
Good. Until one day I was looking through Xbox Game Pass tab and noticed a rewards section, and I saw that I could get Microsoft rewards points for just trying out games on Game Pass. I played Absolver, beat the main story and loved it, and finished Metro 2033, and am currently addicted to Metro Last Light. I earned quite a bit of points just by checking out some games. That's kind of what I've been doing. Like, I use my Game Pass a lot. I have a 10 terabyte external hard drive that's almost filled.
What?
Yep.
With just Game Pass games?
Yep. Just keep downloading them, play them for a little bit, and move on to the next.
Why
not?
Why not just delete it? That would drive me crazy.
You know me, I'm a hoarder, man.
Yeah, but
you're talking to a guy who has a basement with every video game in
That's true. That's true.
So,
but you can always just download it again when you need it. It's not like you need to play the game right now.
Wait for it to download.
Oh my god.
He's right.
Like
you have to wait.
I hate that, especially like you're just sitting here. It's like, oh look, this game is 40 gigs. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to wait for an hour. So I hate that. Like I have games that I have 100%ed still on my Xbox because I don't want to delete them.
Why are you ever gonna go back to that game?
A man of instant gratification.
Are you ever going to go back to those games that you've 100%ed?
Like Arkham games?
Yes.
I've gone back to those quite a few times.
Man.
I think I've platinumed every Arkham game and I still replay them.
Yep. Still do it. Scott, how many times have you beat BioShock into the ground?
I've probably beat the original BioShock maybe 4 times. Okay,
do you still play it?
Yeah, that's fair.
Then I don't want to hear it.
Well, but I can just I'm going to download it when I want to play it.
Done.
I'm never in a moment where I go, I need to play BioShock right now. Like right now, I'm not going to wait half an hour. It's BioShock or nothing else. That never happens to me.
Well, it does to me.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
It's like no. Well, anyway, so what have you guys done to get out of a gaming rut? I mean, we've all been there. Any tricks for getting back into the groove?
Well, me personally, I kind of overload my senses a little. I will be playing one game while having a movie run at the same time. So it's just one of those, kind of just overload my senses a little to get my brain to reset.
Okay. What do you mean?
It sounds weird, but it works for me.
Can you give me an example? What exactly do you do?
I was playing a game called Spectra while watching a movie and listening to Dragon Force at the same time.
Oh my god.
That's a heavy listen. I even know what Dragon Force
is that little game where you play the triangle on like a racetrack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that game. You play that while listening to Dragon Force and having a TV show at the same time.
Yep.
What's the point of having music and a TV show at the same time?
It's visual stimulation. It's basically like visual and brain stimulation because I like watch a movie that I've seen before. So like I know the lines. So it's like going through my head while listening to music and finding something to do with my hands.
CD might actually be insane.
He might be a robot.
I don't know how to explain it, but it just works for me.
Huh.
So it's just like, I'm not going to disagree, Zach. There's the possibility I could be crazy. Who knows? I only sleep 4 to 5 hours.
I was going to say that might explain why you only sleep 4 to 5 hours, because you can't turn your brain off because you overload your senses like this.
Like it's actually kind of bad sometimes. Like I've found periods where I can't sleep, and that's like I'll just turn on music, and that's the only way I can fall to sleep. So,
wow, I would kill my battery.
And just think, I have 2 kids on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot you have kids.
Yeah.
Well, I had some responses from the community as well. We had someone on Twitter by the name of RetroDonnie95 who said, to the first question, which was, do you ever get in a slump? He said a few times, but the second question, it's exercise, reading a book, watch anime on Crunchyroll and listen to some music. So it sounds like he agrees
This
with
episode
you.
brought to you by Crunchyroll.
Yes. So apparently, Retro Donnie feels the same as you, just overload with some senses from a different media, and that works.
Well, I don't
for
think
him.
he does it all at the same time like a freaking psychopath.
Hey, how do you know? He could.
Read a book and watch anime at the same time. I don't know if you could do that.
He could.
While on
Hey,
a
he could
treadmill.
Have a wife who's deaf, and you will learn to read at the same time as watching.
He could be reading the manga as he's watching the anime of the show.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Gotta go for a comparison.
While he's on a treadmill.
Well, of course, he doesn't want to waste his time.
Yeah. I also wanted to throw in a comment from Josh Ershman, who said, I never really fall into this rut. If I get bored, I just switch genres and switch out games. If a game is fatiguing, I switch to a different one or play with different people or switch consoles. Or I'll try something new, maybe an early access game, or have buddies who develop games and we'll check out their games. So Josh's solution is just to try something different. And I think, to kind of echo what he's saying, maybe like jump into a genre that you're not used to playing. Like if you don't typically play fighting games, try a fighting game, especially if it's on Game Pass. Or what's the one on Xbox? Killer Instinct. You can play that one for free. Yeah, jump into something that you've never tried before. Step outside your comfort zone and see if that kind of sparks the interest. So
if you've never played a Dark Souls game, just play a Souls game and then immediately wonder why you hate these games.
It will make you like everything else so much better. This game is so easy. You get good at a Souls game, everything else just becomes like a piece of cake for you.
Play Cuphead.
Oh man, Cuphead is
Those games
hard.
do have the effect of making every other game feel a little guided, though.
Which ones?
The Souls game.
Oh yeah.
Souls games, when you play another game, you're like, boy, games kind of do hold your hand, don't they?
Yeah, because Dark Souls does, or I played Bloodborne. Bloodborne does not. I was like constantly. That's a great game to stream, by the way. To have people like in the chat telling you what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're
Especially at this point.
they're holding your hand. Because man, those games are hard, so hard. Anyway, I also wanted to share the second half of David Koenig's comment. He said, I will say that PSVR has helped me out of the gaming funk as well. The games for it go back to more simple trials, games you can actually get a lot out of in 30 minutes of playtime. But yeah, I am way over these long open world jaunts. And I love this because not only because I just got a PSVR, but all the games on PSVR, there's no 20-hour experiences on PSVR. Everything, even if it is a story game, is like 3 or 4 hours long or 5 or 6 hours long. You know, because nobody wants to be in a helmet right now for longer than 2 or 3 hours at a time. So those games are naturally going to be like this nice short thing, which is so weird to say because I've always been, I want the more bang for my buck kind of thing. But the older I get, the more I want something that's going to be, I can just go on to the next one. New experience.
Say you got old. That's what happened.
But at the same time, I feel you are getting more bang for your buck out of the VR because it is kind of sensory overload.
Okay, yeah.
This guy's addicted.
I know.
So, I mean, you're getting the visual stimuli as well as an audio stimuli. You have something tactile in your hands. It's forcing you to move.
And look, our producer
really
is multitasking. She's editing a podcast and reading a book at the same time. She's got sensory overload too.
Yeah.
Wow.
As she throws the book away. You caught me.
Busted. Zach, what about you, man? What do you do to get out of a funk?
Oh, well, I plucked out a comment here from my number one fan, Maurice Chiano. There have been times where I just feel like I've played everything I'm interested in and I don't have any drive to replay or look for something else to play. I usually combat that now by taking advantage of those times of the year where there aren't any releases or releases that interest me. I take advantage of that time by focusing on other hobbies and endeavors or things around the house that fell by the wayside. That way, when there is something I can play and enjoy it, knowing I've accomplished other goals outside of my playtime. I pick that because I pretty much just waited out until a big game comes out. But then, by the time that the game comes out, I feel good that I've caught up on all the shows I'm watching or the books I wanted to read and stuff, and kind of a guilt-free game playing session.
I love that his comment is about accomplishing things like around the house or whatever, and you're like, oh, I feel like I got caught up on my TV shows.
Yeah, man. There's so much good storytelling happening these days that I feel like I gotta catch a little of it all.
I found Maurice's comment incredibly insightful. actually, because he makes a lot of sense. Just play when the hot games are out that you want to play, and then get other things done that you're interested in or you need to get done in the other times. I wish I could do that because I'm so obsessed with games. I just want to play a game. Just want to get down in my basement and play a game.
I've watched what happens when you take the effort to clean.
So that's the trouble with anybody who's co-hosting this show is that we all love games too much. That's why we talk about them every week.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to pull away unless the funk creeps up on you.
I don't know, man. I want to play them all.
No, I'm with you.
I would love to. There's not enough hours in the day or the week to play them all.
Sleep less.
Well, hopefully all of you are out of your funk as well. I want to say a shout out to all of our listeners. There was Maurice, David, Josh, Donnie, Steve, Bill. Who else was on here? Chip, Fisher43, Kevin, and Josh. Thanks so much for all the comments, as well as everybody. We had a very popular topic this week. It was kind of had to pick and choose which comments to read, so keep that coming, guys. Appreciate it. We've all played plenty of games over the years from various genres and platforms. I want to know if there are any games that you were ashamed to be playing. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about the games that you think are quote-unquote bad, but ones where you hope your significant other doesn't walk in and see you playing it. You know the ones I'm talking about. So before we get into the specific titles, I want to know if you guys even have any shame when it comes to the content you consume, whether it be games, movies, TV shows, or anything. Do you ever have any kind of shame like that?
I have no shame. Zero.
None at all, huh?
Nope. You've seen some of the games in my collection.
Well,
there's some ones with questionable content. I mean, like Custer's Revenge.
Yeah, questionable is a kind way to put it.
Yeah. Whether I don't necessarily enjoy playing them, but I mean, I'll give it a whirl. I mean, honestly, up until my wife started watching Game of Thrones with me, it was one of those where I'm like, I don't know if you should be in here when I'm watching this, especially that first season, man.
Yeah, they were really trying to sell that show with its,
adult content.
Adult content for sure, which worked on me. Just saying. But and what's funny is like, normally I would say yes. If I were sitting alone at home by myself watching that, and my wife just came home, what are you watching? I'd feel a little weird about that. I
mean, I guess it's more or less like I don't feel shame towards like those, but I will admit I love horror movies to death, and I am a sucker for gore-fest movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the first ones I remember watching was like Toxic Avenger, the old one.
Oh wow, I've been shown that movie.
Yeah, I mean that for its time, that was a gory movie. Especially,
I don't think I've ever seen it.
The watermelon cut.
Oh, I don't know.
The watermelon.
I don't know. I mean, I saw it like 15 years ago, man.
There's a scene where somebody gets like run over with a car, and this is before like cheap practical effects. They actually like spray painted a watermelon to look like a head and put a wig on it, and when they ran it over it looked pretty legit. So,
oh wow,
it was one of those like, oh,
that just happened.
So,
what about you, Zach? Is there anything do you ever feel uncomfortable or weirded out if your wife sees you playing or watching something that is weird?
Me and horny Japanese games are a package deal, Scott.
Oh, okay.
So there was never any room for that. No, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know, play Bayonetta or I guess Automata's skirt action, but Lollipop Chainsaw, like, that's fun. I don't know. Yeah, so not ever too ashamed. I feel like the only time where I would like feel weird about, say, playing a game around her was back when like movie license games came out, because they were like objectively bad, but I still played them anyway. But I would catch a lot of crap for that. So I guess that was kind of annoying.
That's not at all what I expected.
Hey,
my wife hated it when I played movie license games.
Or I start to feel, I guess, a little like self-conscious about Lego games, because I'll try to 100%.
Why?
I'll be like 70 hours. I think I spent 70 or 80 hours 100%ing Lego Marvel. So she would come home from work and just be like, "Are you serious?" Like, still? I'm like, I
think that's hilarious.
That's the only thing I can really think of.
Not at all what I was expecting as far as an answer. For me, it's kind of built into me because I grew up in a very sheltered environment where I wasn't allowed to watch movies over G rating. I was not allowed to listen to music that wasn't gospel or country, or not country, gospel or classical. So I spent a lot of my teen years hiding the fact that I was listening to popular music or that I was watching Liar Liar on VHS. So it's like naturally in my brain that if there's something with questionable content on it and someone walks in that might be offended by it or might judge me for doing this, I've never been able to shake that.
I like how you get embarrassed over Liar Liar, but it's like I was 7 and I remember watching The Exorcist.
I remember being 8 years old. My mom bought me American Pie on VHS.
At 8?
Yeah, I watched the movie on repeat, man.
Did she know what it was?
Yeah, she sure did.
That's awesome. So it was like her version of sex education was to give me copies of American Pie.
There is one scene involving the alphabet, if you remember, where I remember being very uncomfortably told, "Hey, pay attention to this part." So. It'll come in handy later.
I can just imagine that VHS now, if you played it, there's going to be like areas where the tracking gets real bad because of rewinding so much.
Yeah, I did. Shannon Elizabeth is an attractive woman. That's true.
Yeah. Wasn't that... I actually read that they did that with Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The Phoebe Cates scene. Like, people that rented... Or the stores that rented the movie said that part of the...
Oh, the tape would be worn?
Of the VHS would be very, very worn.
I believe it.
It's a real thing. But no, in all seriousness, it's something that I've never been able to shake. And I don't know why, because my wife isn't judgmental of me. Like, I'm kind of like more like you. Like, if I'm watching a movie, there's a certain subgenre of movies that I like for some reason, and my wife just hates them. She calls them Scott movies. It has to do with a character, usually a male character, young male character, that you feel sorry for. And eventually gets redemption at the end of the story. For whatever reason, I love those movies. Or movies where the character, especially if the character talks to the camera. My wife has...
She doesn't like that?
No.
Oh, man. I love
fourth
narration.
wall breaks are where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that she doesn't like it, but it's become so synonymous with Scott really likes this movie. It must have a character talking to the camera or a character that you feel really sorry for, or both. Prime example, High Fidelity. I love High Fidelity, and she's like, that's just like an epitome of a movie. You feel sorry for the guy because he's sad about being broken up with, and he talks to the camera. That is a Scott movie. So I'm with you that I'm more ashamed of those than I am of some of the games we're going to talk about more, just because my wife, quote unquote, shames me, but it's not. She's not really judging. She just thinks it's funny that I have like my own subgenre of movies.
The first movie that like popped into my head when you said that was Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I
was like,
yeah,
I could see her hating that movie then.
I've never even tried to get her to watch that because I don't know if you get. I feel like I'm one of the only people that is this way, but I cannot enjoy a movie if I'm sitting watching it with someone that is not having a good time.
It's hard. That's very hard to do.
It's so difficult, but there are movies that I swear I would have a different opinion of it at the end of it, or even a game, if I were watching it with someone that enjoyed it as opposed to someone that didn't. Or I feel like my view of a piece of content is tarnished because I just can't enjoy myself if the other person isn't. So,
see,
it's fair.
Yeah. I guess I'm just to the point that I'm lucky the fact that I have a wife who will just watch constant horror movies with me. And it's like, oh, it's Christmas season. She just goes to the bedroom and watches like whatever Hallmark crap movies on. So
see, we watch holiday movies together. So
no,
but
thanks.
My wife will not watch movies that have even remote gore in them. She literally turns her head or just walks out of the room and won't finish a movie if there's gore in it. So I have to watch those by myself if I ever do. Or movies like Deadpool. I can't watch Deadpool with her.
What? Because he talks to the camera, I guess, all the time.
It's a love story.
Like any story worth telling, it's all about a girl.
Oh man, I do like those movies. But so anyway, we all have a little bit of history about what makes us uncomfortable or doesn't make us uncomfortable for people to know that we watch or play. But what games have you played that had you check in the hallway in case your wife walked in and saw you playing it? Do you have any examples, Zach?
I mean, other than, I guess, I'm probably guilty of having shut off a Spider-Man game or a Lego game. Games that make me happy. I just don't like to be seen playing them.
Why?
How about that?
Why don't you like to be seen happy? I feel like I'm so opposite.
Now we're cracking into the core of me. I don't know, man. It makes me feel uncomfortable, like letting my guard down, I guess. Like that.
Enjoying something and having a good time is letting your guard down?
Yeah. Think so. I'm better about it now. It used to be pretty bad. But that's
you would be a horrible streamer.
Yeah. unless we played a game that was sad. But I couldn't joyously swing around New York, be like, oh no, people are gonna know that I'm happy about something. It'd be ridiculous.
Man, I just can't even wrap my head around not wanting people to know you're happy.
I don't know, man.
I wear my heart on my sleeve too much, probably.
I messed up. I think at first, like when I started collecting the Toys to Life stuff, I was probably a little, not with my wife, but I've definitely been ashamed of, like, I had a roommate. And he's like, what are all these things? And I'm like, oh, dude, they come to life, man. Look, I put Black Widow on here. She pops up in the game. But that's
And they shamed you for it?
Yeah, they're like, you're in your 20s. And I'm like, I don't care. Kidding me? I did care. I put it in my room and started playing it there. So I guess I was ashamed of Toys to Life. There you go.
Okay.
That comes to mind. But, I got Blood... This is Blood Dragoonier. There's 2 O's. Dragoonier? See, there's 2 O's. Throws you off.
Well, I wonder if it's a reference to Legend of Dragoon, the RPG on PlayStation. Blood Dragoonier?
Or Dragon Dragoon, the Japanese name for Drakengard.
Ah.
That's...
Sure.
But anyway, they say... Hyperdimension Neptunia series. The fan service gets insane sometimes. I am partly ashamed. The story is silly. It's literally about the console wars. Have either of you played this?
I have no idea what that is.
No, but I'm going to look into this now.
I've been wanting to play these games for years. I have bought all of them on Vita just because they've been on sales at various points. But yeah, you play these super cutesy little anime girls who pose in precarious positions quite often. But they will be, like, the main character is the representation of Sega. And you meet up with party members who are like the PlayStation or the Xbox. And these girls adventure together and get into risque situations.
Oh man, is it like creepy?
They look a little young sometimes.
Yeah.
That happens with Japanese games, though. I'm sure in the lore they're 300 years old, so it's fine.
Oh.
Even if they look 12. Okay. They're, they can't help that. But no, these games always seem ridiculous, over the top, and I think the only thing that has stopped me is I know I'm going to have to see a lot of, like, near nude shots of 12-year-old Sega representations, but... so that's a little dicey. But all right. Fun. I'm surprised neither of you have heard of it. But then
I've never heard of it.
I've heard of it. I just don't own any of them. So,
not yet.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm currently looking at eBay.
Yeah.
Don't shop over podcasting, man.
Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth on the Vita.
No, I put a note to be like,
this franchise is like 15 years old or 10 years old at this point.
Wow.
Slipped under your radar.
Never heard of it. What platform is it on?
Usually PS3, PS4, and Vita. The PlayStations.
Okay.
All with their new, ridiculous, strict rules. Who knows if that'll be the future.
At least in the U.S., strict rules.
Gotta protect people from themselves. You can't see butts in Devil May Cry. It'd be too much.
No, they're strategically hidden with a lens flare, so it's fine.
Not if you play on Xbox One.
Oh, really?
Then it's just a butt. Ridiculous. Anyway, Brandon Smith chimed in with Final Fantasy 13-2. I may or may not have paid for the swimsuit DLC.
Oh, I didn't even know there was swimsuit DLC in that game.
I feel like paying for sexy DLC is probably... You should probably be a little ashamed.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of him for putting that out there in the open there.
Yeah, I think I bought some sexy DLC before. So just to support the developer.
I don't think I have.
Oh
yeah.
Just trying to help out the little devs out there. And then Final Fantasy 15. Anytime I let Cindy fill my car with gas, and that car needed a lot of gas.
Yeah, I'm actually with him on that one. That was one where I was like, please hurry up and finish filling up the tank before my wife, because my laundry room is right next to the room where I game. So my wife will come down the stairs and then go in the laundry room. And I remember playing that game a lot and trying to time my refill ups.
Yeah. See, like I definitely felt a little gross at that scene because boy did they linger. And you really don't need to. But luckily I have a wife who is well versed enough in video games that it's never an issue. Like she watched all of Bayonetta. And there were certainly some scenes, where she's like dancing around, like spreading her legs, where I'm like, ooh, okay. But she lets it slide, so it's all good.
There you go. What about you, CB?
For me, more or less, it's not so much my wife that I have to worry about. It's kids.
Gross.
Yeah.
Don't have kids.
Well, I have 2 of them, so
you can't reverse engineer them.
Nope. Can't put them back. I think my older boy, he was like 5 or 6 when Lollipop Chainsaw came out. And I played the crap out of that game.
And a boy became a man.
And it was just one of those just like, ooh, yeah, you need to go to another room. I'm sorry. So that and Catherine, oh man.
Well, yeah, Catherine is one especially because if you haven't played Catherine, it's a game about infidelity, like straight up. And my wife isn't bad. We've been married for 13 years now, so we've got a lot more secure in our marriage since then. But back when I was playing that game, any movie, like I remember watching Mad Men with my wife. And if you've watched that show, everybody is sleeping with everybody in that show. And it became like an issue where, so this is normal. Are you doing this too? I'm like, it's a TV show. You know what I mean? So same kind of situation with Catherine. I don't want to be around. I actually know somebody personally that couldn't finish a movie with his wife because she got upset with the scene where someone was cheating on somebody else.
Oh man, have you seen the movie The Loft?
Yes.
That happened to me in real life with The Loft.
Wait, you had a loft or
no? No, where we got like 30 minutes into the movie and she's like, I don't want to watch this anymore. For that reason.
Yeah. Which is hilarious to me.
Just preposterous. It is fiction.
Yeah. But it's the same thing with Catherine. It's a game about cheating on your significant other.
No game has ever made me squirm in my chair as much as Catherine did.
Oh, yeah.
Because Vincent kept putting himself in the most ridiculous situations, and I was like, it's like when you watch a movie and someone's about to do something embarrassing, and you start to feel it. Mm-hmm. But it was over the course of a 12-hour game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really liked that game, though.
That's a great. Can't wait to play the re-release.
Yeah.
I think my wife actually got upset. She walked in on a certain level in Dante's Inferno.
Oh
yeah.
And she was like, "What are you playing?"
Was it the boss of the
Lust level?
Lust level? Yeah.
Hey, don't you bang her to death?
So she was just like, "What is this crap?" And I was like, "It's Dante's Inferno, the game." And she's like, "Whatever, you're ridiculous." So
wow, good thing she didn't show up.
Atmospheres in that game.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
So, and speaking of your situation with The Loft, there was actually a movie that my wife got so uncomfortable with that she walked out, but it was actually a horror movie called The Farmhouse.
I'm not familiar with that one either.
It sounds like
it's
the R
definitely
word would be involved.
It's definitely a artsy B-roll horror, but there's a scene with a cheese grater and someone's knees.
Oh.
Dude, I don't like any of that, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why you'd want to watch that movie.
I was not expecting it when it happened, so...
Yeah, you can't really anticipate that going into a movie.
Nope, not at all.
Have you ever watched a movie and by yourself and been like, man, I'm glad my wife's not watching this with me right now? Because...
Yeah, there's been a couple.
I Spit on Your Grave is one that comes to mind right off the bat.
Last House on the Left.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
See, I was gonna say Spider-Man 2 because she'd have to see me cry when Aunt May gives her hero speech.
Oh, so well, getting back on track. David Newman brought up if Chris Behrensmeyer is on this week's episode. I was wondering if there was any game in your collection you wish wasn't part of the official collection because of its content. Thought I'd ask because it seemed appropriate for this week's topic. We actually talked about this before the show, and there are a handful of games in my collection that aren't officially listed on any of my collection sites, mostly because of highly questionable content. I will not reveal their names on this show.
Well, yeah, even their names are too risque.
Yeah, their names are too risque. So when you hear this, David, we did discuss it. I just unfortunately will not release the names of what they are. So, but yes, there are some. And the other comment that kind of caught my eye was Scott Simon said, "I have no shame." I feel you, brother. Yeah. I feel you.
I wish I didn't have shame.
Everybody has some shame. Somewhere deep down.
Working EMS long enough, you don't have shame anymore.
Maybe.
Nope.
I'm jealous.
Nope.
I'm jealous of your amount of shame, whatever insignificant amount of it you have. I'm jealous because I have all kinds of shame. So, for me, I'm going to go ahead and read Jordan Derringer High's comment because his mirrors a game we've already talked about. He talked about Lollipop Chainsaw. He said, "It's funny you put the picture as Lollipop Chainsaw, not because I'm ashamed of playing this game. It was really good for all intents and purposes. But because my girlfriend at the time walked into the room right as I was getting the trophy for looking up Juliet's skirt," which is a real thing, by the way. And I'm ashamed to say I found that out by accident.
Yeah, you did.
This is Jordan speaking again. "She looked at me and said, 'Oh, so it's that kind of game.' To which I had no reply but to stare at her and shrug." And yeah, I actually didn't finish that game, but I thought that was fun.
Oh, I finished that game. That game was great.
You just have to tell her it's co-written by James Gunn, and then she'll oh my god, instant respect.
Oh, okay, then it's okay.
See, exactly. He's a hero.
For those that don't know what I'm talking about, there's literally an achievement in that game, or trophy, whichever platform you're playing on, where if you tilt the camera up, which I think, if you go to look at the ceiling, it's not like you're trying to...
Oh, Scott, come on.
But as soon as you do that, the Juliet, the girl, she actually takes her skirt to tug it down to keep you from seeing what's underneath, and then an achievement pops that calls you a perv.
In Automata, if you try to look up her skirt, she shoves the camera away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I did not know that.
I had to look. I was trying to get all the trophies, so that's what I had to do.
Bringing back Lollipop Chainsaw, some of the comments made about the boyfriend's head in that game, ridiculously funny.
Like about what it was used for, or
Yep.
Yeah. I got to replay this game.
I should go back and finish that game. What a ridiculous concept. Totally Suda 51, right? Was that Suda 51?
Yeah, a Suda joint.
A Suda joint. Also, I wanted to read Sean Coates' comment. He said, "I was going to go with Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball," which is a good call because everyone said that game was good, and I'm convinced that they just like the content. Sean goes on to say, "But instead I'll go with the Guy game for PS2 and Xbox. After all, the game is technically illegal to have, since it features full motion videos of girls removing articles of clothing. And it turns out one of the girls in the game lied to the film crew and said she was 18 when she was in fact 17. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to clarify. It's not illegal to have it. It's technically illegal to sell it.
Ah, okay.
Which
that doesn't make any sense.
Because you're technically selling something with questionable content. If I remember correctly, the girl who is 17 in the game doesn't actually get naked. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that it's insinuated. Oh. But because it was questionable content around that time, the game was pulled from shelves. I mean, I will openly admit, I own a copy of the game. I haven't actually ever played it.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I hear sirens. Is that on your end, CB?
Well, maybe. So...
I actually had that game on a modded Xbox back in the day.
It's not a good game. So
it's a trivia game. It's literally just a trivia game, and if you get the questions right,
you see boobs.
Then yeah,
they should bring this back.
No, they should.
Think about all the DLC packs you could get.
I can see it now. Trivial Pursuit Adult Edition.
Yeah.
But yes, Zach and I were talking about this before the start, but fan service games in Japan are a whole nother breed. So
yes, we talked about that a little bit off air, and that's all we're going to say about it.
Yep,
because it made me uncomfortable. The only other one I want to mention, actually, you mentioned it already, Zach, was Bayonetta. I remember playing Bayonetta, and this was back when my basement was reoriented differently. Chris, if you know where my TV is now,
yeah.
But my TV used to be on the west wall of my room with a couch in front of it, so the back of the couch was to the rest of my basement. So I could never see if someone was standing behind me watching me play a game. And I remember constantly looking over my shoulder playing Bayonetta to see if my wife was just watching me play this game. Now, at least where my couch is, I can see her or hear her coming down the stairs. But it was not the case back then.
Sir, you do have too much shame. We need to break you with that.
Yeah.
I really do, man.
You know what? I was going to say, I would not play Bayonetta 2 on my Switch on the bus. How about that? That's where I would draw the line. There you go.
That's fair.
I could understand that.
Well, and what's funny is there's no, nudity. At least I haven't played the second one. There wasn't any nudity in the first one. Everything was strategically hidden in such a way that
her hair covered her up.
Right.
Her magic hair.
Her magic hair that diminished as you punched and kicked more. It's
because her suit is made out of her magic hair, Scott. So when she's using her massive attacks, she's got no choice but to get naked. It's all part of the story.
I didn't play Metal Gear Solid 5, but I feel like if I did, that would be one that I would look over my shoulder a little bit. Did either of you finish that game?
Nope.
No, too long.
Do you know the deal with Quiet in that game?
No.
Yeah, sure. I did the shower scene with her. I remember.
I never got to her. I never played the game long enough to do it. But CB, just to give you some idea of how Kojima this game, or was it Kojima?
It's Kojima. Oh yeah, it's Metal Gear, man.
Final
I didn't know
Kojima.
Was that his last one? Okay. So there's this character named Quiet who, when you see her, wears the skimpiest bikini possible, and it's not it's almost like a combat bikini. And apparently, when you go through and find out what her story is, Zach, you're gonna have to back me up on this, but she's part plant.
She has plant cells, so she recharges by photosynthesis.
So she has to be mostly naked in order to be able to feed herself, and that was the excuse they made to have her dressed scantily throughout the entire game, which I think it's hilarious.
Does she at least have combat boots on?
She does. All
right, deal. We're in.
She's a sniper. Well, the real shame of Quiet is that she was actually a really good character, but it was hard not to just be angry every time she was on screen because of how obviously unnecessary it was. Mm-hmm. It's pretty dumb. They do back it up though. She somebody puts a jacket on her at one point and she has trouble surviving through it. So at least they backed it up.
There you go.
No, it's dumb. It's so dumb.
Like plants can't survive at night.
I don't know what to tell you, CB. This is the lore. I think she like breathes through her skin too, or some such. I don't know. It's really dumb. It's inexcusable.
It's Kojima.
Yeah, or like even worse if Peace Walker. There's like a side mission where Snake and Paz get underneath a box together and it starts shaking. But Paz, you find out, is not a teenage girl. But when Snake went under the box with her, he sure thought she was.
Oh,
so that's gross.
I don't think I played Peace Walker, so interesting.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun conversation, guys. Hopefully nobody was offended by any of that, but we tried to keep it somewhat PG, so
yeah, we could have.
All right.
I could have gotten a little more risque. All right, this week I believe was Owen's pitch. Yeah, he wanted to talk about the games that strain your friendships. Really just bring you to that breaking point in a multiplayer experience. Kind of like, I guess, Monopoly ruins any friendship I've ever encountered. But for video games. So I guess, right at the top, we just go into what our community has to say, and then we talk a little bit about, I got a couple games that have made me want to punch the people in the face, so we'll get there.
You'll punch people in the face for cold French fries, let alone video games.
Well, there's no reason to give me soggy French fries. I mean, seriously. Stop wasting, but you're wasting everybody's time.
I'm just saying.
I'll wait for the fresh fries.
Well, one game that's near and dear to me, and I know it is a CB2, Troy Heinrichs put out there is quite simply, for some reason, no one wants to play Dr. Mario with me anymore. First of all, I have yet to play Dr. Mario with you, Troy, and I would be happy to punch you in the face after we play that game.
Oh yeah, I'm in.
But in my youth, I understand that because I was the same way, and actually in more recent times, friends of mine that are my age, and we could just kind of get back to playing just because we're bored. And I get really cocky with these puzzle games, so I know why they don't want to play with me anymore, and I feel really bad, but not really because I dominated.
You do like your sweet victories.
Oh, it doesn't suck.
Man, I'm almost tempted to go slap bet with Troy for Dr. Mario.
Yes.
So, slap that?
Slap bet.
Slap bet?
Yeah.
20 on the table for Dr. Mario. He slaps it on the table, you pick up the controller, you go. That's how.
Oh, no. I mean, like how I met your mother slap bet.
Oh, yes, that one. Sorry.
So, loser gets to slap, and winner gets to slap the loser in the face.
You really like those bets, CB.
Oh, yes, I do.
Like disturbingly so.
Yes.
Is that what you're into? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Everybody's got their kink, man. Right. Don't shame mine.
Exactly right. I refuse a kink shame on this show. That's not what we're about here.
So, Jordan Derringer High brought up Mario Party. He says, I had a group of friends who literally had to stop playing when we were around each other because we were afraid of something thrown at us. Everyone who we would win a mini game or snag a star.
There's still a conspiracy amongst us that there's cheaters. I think it was when you, me, and Scott played that there was like a cheater element to it.
Yeah. So
cheating at Mario Party?
Well, the game cheats.
Well, yeah, the game does. Yeah, there's no question. The game cheats for you.
Yes. It's you were in last place. You're in first now.
It wants the loser to win.
I don't know. When we played, I thought it was pretty steady, quite frankly. And this was the latest installment.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But at Nate Lucas's house, we played. I think it was one of the ones on the Wii, and it almost got to the point that a couple Wii nunchucks were thrown at someone. So,
it's a pretty serious game of Mario Party, man.
Oh yeah, we play to win, man.
I don't know, man. Those Joy-Con motions were actually making me laugh more than wanting to throw at anybody.
Oh, especially if you had
climb the flagpole or something.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, that was PG.
But if you had the boo and you shook it, it would be like woo, and somebody that would be their taunt was they would just hold it next to your head and start shaking it.
This game sounds dirty, man.
It's dirty and violent, just like the tail end of the Wii's generation. It seems
it is the SpongeBob of video games.
Woo.
There's stuff there for kids, but there's a lot of hidden stuff for adults.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and it goes on entirely too long.
Yes.
Just like SpongeBob.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Well, I took a comment from Shadewick, one of our first 7.
The Chad.
Who said, for Trash Talk, it would be GoldenEye easily. Screen lookers, you know who you are. I gotta tell you, screen looking.
My God, yes.
Unacceptable practice screen looking.
That was horrible. Played in my college dorm with these guys in GoldenEye. There was rampant accusation. Of course, it was always true.
Yeah, that's the thing about screen looking. Everybody was doing it.
Oh yeah. But there are those people that like memorize the maps and they just stare at the ground.
I.e. you.
Nope.
To throw it off.
No, I am not that good. I am terrible at GoldenEye.
So you were a looker.
But oh no. I usually had more fun drinking and playing GoldenEye.
All right.
I mean, come on.
Well, can't argue that.
Slappers only. Odd job.
Oh boy, you're one of those people.
Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah. No, I certainly remember playing GoldenEye with my brothers, and just when they impossible, like you put a remote mine, on the wall, and they detonate it just the right time. Like I didn't screen look. Like you're full of it. I would get mad. I would rip the cart right out of the system.
Ooh.
So yeah.
See,
I don't care.
We had more of that with Counter-Strike 1.6. So
I'm not familiar with Counter-Strike lingo.
Well, that was the older version before like CS:GO and.
Oh, okay. 1.6. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we had a lot of that where my buddy Dave had a setup in his basement with like 10 computers, and we'd all be sitting here, and you'd always screen watch the guy next to you, be like, "Oh, he's over here." So you just ran and drop remote mines. And
I remember Halo got so serious, when I was younger, that we would just all bring our Xboxes to each other's houses because like our buddy Scott, like they were loaded, so they had a bunch of TVs. We would just land it up and be in different rooms and stuff because we hated screen looking that much.
I miss split screen though. There's something about sitting next to 3 other people and just it's fun.
I'm cool with it. I don't want to go back to split screen shooters. You want to like split screen co-op? That's fine.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I can't deal with these screen lookers.
It's not the first time we mentioned kind of like that interactive local gaming is really kind of falling off the map, obviously, and it is a good time. Grab a beer, grab a controller if you're old enough for the beer, that is, and just go to town, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's always a good time.
And occasionally have a slap bed.
Let's do it.
Apparently those are big in Rockford. I had no idea.
It's a thing.
I'm trying to get Scott to do one, but he's too chicken.
Yeah, Scott doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's, unless he can guarantee a win.
Yeah. So I've been trying for a good couple months now, and he's just nope, he won't do it. So
wuss. Calling you out, Scott. You're a wuss.
Oh, shots fired. He's not even here to defend himself.
He will be back.
At some point.
He'll never listen to this.
No, he probably
very
won't.
True.
No, absolutely not. Well, CB, what about you? Got any personal experiences?
For games that have made me, well, not so much me because I'm a jolly person. Real happy.
No, I'm the jolly person.
My wife actually refuses to play any trivia games or like movie trivia, any type of trivia game. She will not. She will actually just, nope, I'm going to go to bed. I refuse to play with you. Her friends are the same way. So they will not play any trivia games with me. And it's gotten to the point of violence.
So you're that smart?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I retain a lot of dumb knowledge.
I do too.
So,
So you've almost lost your wife over this, what you're saying?
no, but there was probably a good week where we didn't talk.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how you get the cold shoulder over games like that.
yeah, she actually does not play games with me anymore unless we're on the same team. So
Fair enough. I understand.
yeah, pretty much those. My other buddy Jordan Larkin, we refuse to play like Smite or Call of Duty multiplayer against him because I will hit him. He's that.
Does he just take it too seriously?
No, he's just too good. I think the last time we played Call of Duty against each other, like local multiplayer map, I lost 25 to -1. So
That's pretty brutal, man.
yeah,
Why even show up?
pretty much. So I refuse to play that game with him. So what about
enough.
you, Owens?
Tetris is one of them. The most recent time was not long ago, and actually Scott was in the room when we were playing Tetris. It wasn't Tetris Battle, but it was you drop 3-4 lines, and you get a 3-4 line gain on your opponent there. And shame on me, I was so cocky. I went, "Hey Scott, watch this," and like blindly dropped the long piece and killed the guy. It felt so good, but I feel so dirty now. I really do.
Do you really feel dirty?
I actually do. I'm not. I'm in the moment and like heat of the moment, just like they try to be the best of the best. But afterwards, it does feel a little icky. I'm not gonna lie. My conscience takes back over. What can I say? But CB, like you, my wife and I dabble in gaming very, very little together. But when Super Mario Wii and Super Mario Wii U came out, she thought it was simple and cute enough and colorful enough she can get into it. I left her behind all the time and let her fall into lava pits and get the bubble to get the bubble to catch up to you because it's 2 players at the same time. And I'm just like, go up here, no, go back that way. You need to keep up with me. And I just like I can't stay behind and wait for her because I have to get to the next level. I have to see what happens next. And of course, when I go to work and she's home, she'll jump ahead a couple of levels and say, "I didn't do that," and say, "You just don't remember going this far." I'm like, "Oh, she's killing me." So we haven't dabbled in a while for the sake of our marriage.
See, I did that a lot with Sonic the Hedgehog too. Be like,
oh yeah,
here you go. Give the second controller to my little brother. Be like, here, you play Tails. Bye.
That's you don't like your little brother, do you?
Oh no, I love my little brother.
Wow. For me, probably Portal 2 comes to mind because whether or not I was right, I always felt like I knew what the solution was. I would get so mad and frustrated that the whoever I was playing with, it's just going to incredibly sound cocky, but it felt like they weren't shooting the portals fast enough or as well as I was. I mean, most of these people, I guess, probably hadn't played the campaign that I invited to the co-op, but still, like I could tell you I was the bad guy. I was the instigator. I'm like, what are we doing? You're wasting time. Let's go on. So easy.
So you were.
It would just frustrate me.
You were the player version of GLaDOS.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You were
certainly
being
not Wheatley.
cocky, just like that.
I just puzzle games cooperatively. I have no interest in at all. So I guess that makes me the bad guy.
No, until you start with that.
I got time for this.
I could just see you sitting there next to somebody. Just give me the controller. I will do it myself.
Yes, it's very like foot tapping. Like, come on. Like I've done my part. I've done my half of the equation where you're slipping on yours. It's very frustrating. So that's the game that probably most comes to mind because it felt like I wasn't doing as well as I could because it was something out of my control.
Yeah, I could see that.
Absolutely.
Which is not good.
I mean, see, unfortunately, I never really caught the multiplayer bug, like playing like Halo and all those. So I never.
No, me neither. Still don't.
I try. My son was just upstairs playing Fortnite, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to play with?" And I'm like, "I have no interest. You play for me. Go ahead." Just because I don't want to be that person that like smashes a TV because they get so mad over something. Because I know that'll happen. I'll get down to like me and like 2 other people, and somebody will get a lucky shot off, and I'm like, I'm gonna snap this controller in half.
Yeah, I never really got that way with competitive stuff. Like I'll get mad at myself when I keep dying in Bloodborne or Dark Souls or something. Like I'll be like, I could do this better. This is so stupid. What am I thinking? How could I have let that hit happen? But in competitive, I usually, I don't know, maybe I'm just lying to myself, but I lose. I'm like, you know what? It was still kind of fun though on the way there. I guess in Gears of War, I kind of got mad at people if they would mess up an Annex or King of the Hill. I'm like, just stay still.
And Actually, probably one of the most rage-inducing moments I've had with one of my friends was my buddy Dan playing StarCraft. Ooh. Because he was always the guy that would build like the proton cannon wall and then just sit behind it and build carriers. So that was...
He waited it out.
Yep, he'd just be like, oh, everybody else fight, and I'm just going to go around and clean up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I certainly remember being frustrated with like a tag-along person in Horde mode in Gears 3 or something, and they're just not carrying their weight at all. You're like, well, this person's just here.
Yeah.
That's a little frustrating.
When they sit back in the corner while you and everybody else are just doing the work.
Yeah, you know what? If we are talking about things that really like, I have learned that I cannot trust people to play story games cooperatively.
A Way Out.
So like in a Halo Gears of War, Way Out was tough. It is. If anybody even whispers over a line of dialogue, I immediately just want to I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm here for the story. So I will usually, like for Gears, like people will want to play co-op, I will blast through the story as fast as I can so that way I can play through the story and not want to hit them.
That's one of the reasons I buy all my headphones with this little mute switch.
I should start doing that.
It's a good accessory.
Gotta get a better headset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that, unless you guys have anything else to say, I think that about sums it up, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Video games, they're so fun that it makes you want to punch people in the face.
Yep.
Excellent topic, I think.
Gaming has been getting a lot of bad press lately. It's no secret. We've already said our piece in a previous episode with our disagreement with how a certain subset of our government and society view video games in a negative light. But that's not what we're going to do today. Instead, we're going to go the other direction. Talk about the positive side of gaming. Those stories where gaming was a force of good in the world to make it a better place, whether it be an individual or in a group. So we wanted to know what stories our community has to throw a wrench in the fire that is the toxicity that is plaguing our country right now. So, what stories do you guys have to tell? How did gaming make positive changes in your life or the life of someone who's close to you?
Let me go ahead and start this off. Gaming has been an absolute huge part of my life. My dad kind of got me gaming back shortly after my parents got a divorce when I think I was about 5 years old at that time, and to him it was kind of an escape from all the depressing issues that was coming along with it. And I've kind of used video games as well in my own issues with depression. There's something about them that just kind of, it gives you that break from all your struggles and all your issues. And honestly, one of our friends on Facebook, Cameron McEwen, said, "Gaming for me has always been a way to escape. Say I'm stuck in my head or the depression is kicking hard, in a way to have human contact when you're mentally just can't pull yourself out of bed." And, I understand where he's coming from. It did give me that chance to kind of just... I played a lot of RPGs, so interacting with the NPCs kind of gave me that slight human contact. I know it's weird to say that, but it kind of kept me sane in that regard.
Well, that's cool, man. I love hearing stories about that, where gaming, brought you out of a funk or helped you with what's going on inside your head. That's things people don't talk about enough. We always hear about it the other way around. So, kudos to you, man.
I mean, most of the time you got to play the hero. That's every kid dreams of making a difference when they're growing up, and I got to do that through video games. And then as I grew older and Twitch kind of became a thing, I got to meet some different people, streamers, chat members, got to mod a few channels that in these video game communities where you meet people of a like-minded situation. And I actually got to go to TwitchCon last year and meet these people in person, and it was just an absolutely amazing experience. That here is a person that has also struggled, but has this absolute love for video games, and the video games themselves just brought us all together. It's telling you, when you finally meet that person you've been talking to for years, and you get to either shake their hand or give them a hug, and I can't really describe that feeling because it was just so amazing.
That is cool. And that's something that we kind of take for granted nowadays with technology being the way it is, that we can talk to people on the other side of the globe while we're playing games together. I mean, I've made lifelong friends that I didn't meet in person until years after I initially met them. So that's a very incredible experience for sure.
I wouldn't have gotten to meet you, Scott, if we didn't have that common thing of video games here.
That's true. How did I meet you, Patrick? How did I run into you guys? I don't remember.
It was shortly after last E3, and we had you on as a guest for EXP Cast. And that's where I first kind of got to talk to you. And then we made that weird challenge, saying that I was the master of Mega Man, and Chris Owen was like, oh, no, he didn't. And so then we kind of had that competition going on when you had a Go barbecue event.
I remember that.
Chris did that time, although I was winning in the first round before the game mysteriously got shut off.
Yeah, one of the consoles got unplugged or something, or it got reset. There was whispers of some kind of
foul play.
Some foul play?
Yes. It can neither be confirmed nor denied, but then Chris came back and kind of took over the second time through. So I feel confident that Patrick would have actually won that event. But he got his he got it in the end, if you remember, the second half of that story.
Yeah, we did have a slight rematch on it. I decided to throw an impromptu, let's throw Scott and my friend Stoy into this competition as well. And caught them both by surprise. And I honestly did not know that Stoy's favorite Mega Man game was Mega Man 5. And that was the one he actually played religiously. So I apologize on that regard. Because we passed you guys by a whole castle.
Yeah, I haven't played that game since it released. So I had no idea even what order or anything to do. But you guys kind of just destroyed it. Because didn't we do a pass the controller? It was Chris and I versus you and Stoy.
Yep, and it was either you beat a level or you died and you passed the controller.
Yes, yeah. And I think you guys beat the game before we even got to the first level of Wily's Castle. So it was a sound thrashing, as it were.
Yeah,
Dr.
you guys
Wily.
got stuck. Yeah. Those were
man?
good times. Good times. The other thing is, that event that we just had, or that we were just talking about, took place on Extra Life, which is a day in November where gamers kind of get together and they raise money for Children's Miracle Network, or for the hospital of their choice, as long as they're kind of in the network. And that's another great thing that I don't think the media has been focusing on video games, as that or St. Jude's, how they have these days dedicated where streamers or just gamers in general just play and raise awareness for these causes. And that's something that video games do nowadays. They like to stand by these issues, such as mental awareness or helping kids get treatments for cancers, or just making wishes come true.
Yeah, good stuff. Do you remember that charity? It was called Child's Play Charity. I don't know if they even still exist anymore. I have to look it up.
Huh.
But they used to do wish lists for hospitals, where you could actually purchase video games and video game consoles for the children's hospital, so that kids could have something to play when they're stuck in the hospital, on dialysis, or if they're in for several days and or weeks because of whatever life-threatening illness they have, and just to kind of bring some joy into their lives. I always thought that was awesome. Gamers doing things for good. And the amount of money that is raised for Extra Life is astronomical, and it gets bigger and bigger every year. And everyone just kind of rallies behind it, and I absolutely love it. So, good call, man. Good call. Zach, What about you? Any positive stories from gaming in your life?
Well, one quick note is, thinking outside of myself is Pokemon Go was pretty cool when that came out.
Yeah.
I know I've joked before about seeing this tweet that messed up my life of the 2 months after Pokemon Go came out was the closest we've ever been to world peace.
Yeah.
But it was frighteningly true. You would go outside and you would kind of meet random people, and you'd give each other a little bit of guff. like, oh, Team Instinct, huh? You know, or you'd be like, oh my god, there's a Clefairy over here. Like, that was cool. That was complete strangers coming together and just kind of being buds out there in the world. Whereas normally, especially in Chicago, you just completely ignore everybody around you and hope to God they don't talk to you.
Yeah, it's a good point. That was good times, and I know some people still play it. There's still a following for Pokemon out there, but I just miss the craze of that. Even though I wasn't into it, it was just cool going to parks and seeing people that never met before just congregating in this common interest. It was fantastic.
I agree. I had hoped Wizards Unite would do it as well, but I guess that you'll never capture that lightning in a bottle again for that kind of game.
Probably not. Not without some more I don't know, reward for doing it. I don't know if they start doing like monetary value or something, but I can't.
Maybe if
see
they
that
do like
happening.
a Star Wars version where you go out there and you fight Sith together.
Oh, dude,
That would
That
be
might-
awesome.
That might get people out there.
that might actually get me to do it. Actually,
That's
You know
what
what?
I'm saying.
I would like to see a Monster Hunter in an AR form.
That'd be pretty cool. I know they have a Ghostbusters one that the world has ignored.
Oh,
man, I didn't even think about that. I think I might actually rather do that than Star Wars. Honestly, like capture
Well,
ghosts.
It exists, Scott.
Oh, it does.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
There's-
my bad.
And that's what I'm saying. It exists, but no one cares.
Yeah, I didn't know about it, so
Yeah.
it's apparently not. Either I've just been blind to the fact that it exists, but
I just
Wow.
don't think, yeah. But I guess if we want to take it a little more introspective, speaking off of Patrick's idea here about it, dealing with your depression or whatever, I've been known to be prone to a suicidal thought or two. I've never crossed a bridge I haven't thought about throwing myself off of. But it was never as bad as it was in 2013. I was living out in a small town on the sticks all by myself. Like, I had no one to talk to. Complete garbage. Stare at a wall for hours. But anyway, I played the Tomb Raider reboot came out that March, and there was something about watching Lara Croft refuse to die that made me say, well, I can't. If she's not going to throw in the towel, she just got stabbed by rebar, then certainly I can't. And then, that was pretty cool. And then I went took it even cornier and got the symbol from that game tattooed on my arm to remind me to be a survivor. So, yeah, Tomb Raider was pretty great.
wow, Zach,
that is
that's an
awesome.
incredible story, man. Thanks for sharing. That's a pretty personal story. I really do appreciate that, man.
Yeah, well, it felt like the topic, Yeah, I always got
That
tattoo on my arm for that.
that feels like a story you need to tell Crystal Dynamics about, man. That
Forward them this podcast.
well, just man, that's something like you hear about, and it just goes to show, man. I've known you for several years now. I never had a clue that was a part of your life, and that just goes to show, how sometimes people like me don't pay attention to things like that, or ask questions, or reach out, and it makes me feel bad.
I mean,
But-
I really don't blame yourself, man. That's
No, I know. It's
Don't say
just
That game
You never
saved your
know.
life, Zach. Literally.
kind of, yes.
yeah. Wow, great story, man. Again, thanks so much for sharing that. That was great. For me, I'm not gonna my story. I feel like I should have ended with you, man. You had by far the best story that's gonna be here, because for me, gaming has always been. You guys both talked about depression. For me, when I was growing up, I have never had a lot of self-confidence or self-esteem. I've never thought very highly of myself. But because I didn't feel like I was good at anything. I wasn't good at sports. I did fine in school and all that, but I was an awkward kid, and I just couldn't really do, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't do anything to impress anybody. But as soon as I got a game controller in my hand, and nobody was watching me, but this game was telling me that I did a good job at something, whether it be getting that flagpole at the end of a Mario level, whether it be beating my brother in NFL Blitz, or finishing a race. It's that sense of accomplishment. Like, I feel like I was doing something. Yes, is it a video game? Absolutely. It's not anything that's actually changing the world or necessarily doing anything for good, but it made me feel good, and it made me feel like I was doing something, and I was good at something.
I mean, it doesn't change the world, but it changes your world.
Exactly. And that's what games did for me. I found my niche in something that I enjoyed, and I just found myself wanting to talk to anybody and everybody I could about it. I remember going to school and just trying to meet new friends to see who played games so that we could, hey, I've got this game. You want to trade with me? And I'll give you this game for a week, and you give me your game for a week. And, because I didn't have any money, I couldn't afford to buy games. So I tried to reach out to friends to trade with. It's kind of become part of my identity of a person that I am, and I feel like, as crazy as it sounds, a lot of the person that I've become and grown into is attributed to those early years of gaining a little bit of self-esteem for something as what a lot of people would consider as silly as video games, and so I have video games to thank for that. Also, it's given me a way to connect with my students, which I know sounds like low-hanging fruit a little bit because obviously a lot of my students love video games, but I've been able to use that to get through to some kids and make my classroom a welcome place. The look on kids' face, even some of their parents' face, when they walk into my classroom and they see the place decorated in Triforces and Amiibo figures and Mario paintings and just Mario video game stuff everywhere. And all of a sudden, there's like this barrier that's been dropped. A lot of kids, when they meet a teacher for the first time, they've got this guard up, and they're just because maybe they're scared or maybe they've been hurt by teachers in the past. And all of a sudden, when they see that a 40-year-old guy that's going to be teaching them for the next 7 or 9 months likes what they like, it creates an instant connection and makes my world easier in terms of actually educating these kids. And I love that. And plus, it's just fun, man. I can sit down with my kids and they'll throw some video game knowledge at me and ask me a question. And when I respond correctly, the look on their face, like, Mr. Clark actually knows what he's talking about, is just absolutely fun. So the last story I'll tell you is one that has to do with my aunt and uncle. And when I say aunt and uncle, they weren't actually blood relatives. They were friends of my family that we were so close with that I grew up calling them Aunt Kurt and Aunt Brigitte and Uncle Kurt. And unfortunately, both have since passed away due to health issues. Very young, by the way. But these two people treated me like family. They actually let me live with them during my senior year of high school so I could finish out my last year of high school in Rockford due to complications up in Wisconsin, which is a whole other long story. But they took me in, and while I stayed with them, I was playing Metal Gear Solid on the original PlayStation. I had never played the original Metal Gear, never played Twin Snakes, and sat down and played this game. And I started the game up, and both of them were sitting in the living room and watched me play this game. And for the first time in as long as I could remember, at 18, 19 years old, however old I was, they were enthralled with what I was playing. They were into the story of this game. These two people that had dabbled in video games, they just played they played the arcade stuff growing up, but they'd never played anything with a real story to it. And the sheer interest on their face, they made me promise not to play any of the game unless they were sitting in the living room watching me play it. They watched me play the entire game. Obviously not in one sitting, but from start to finish, they watched every frame of that game. And it was a family moment that I'll cherish forever. And it's one of the best things I remember about them is just sitting together with them playing this game. And, people always say, oh, video games are keeping people from doing things with their family. In my opinion, this story proves that wrong. I did this with my family, and we had a great time with it, and I genuinely think we became closer because of that shared joy we had in the story, because it was the first time I played it. I had no idea what was going on, and it was awesome. So
that's really cool, man. That's yeah. You should be so excited for Death Stranding.
I should. Well, you're right, except I played Metal Gear Solid 2. I played Metal Gear Solid 3, but did not finish it. I tried Metal Gear Solid 4, and I just got tired of watching videos for 20 minutes at a time or whatever.
That's a unique beast, MGS4.
And I played the intro of Metal Gear Solid 5, and I was like, all right, you got me, man. I'm on board just for the craziness that this is. And for some reason, as soon as I started the actual game, I something turned me off. I think I was open worlded out at the time, Is that a verb?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Far Cry 3's fault if you'll remember last week.
Yes, I remember last week. So, and then I never went back. So I'm not the Kojima lover that everyone is, but man, that original Metal Gear Solid with the controller swap trick and the just.
Oh
the
man,
code
that
being
must
on
have been so fun with your aunt and uncle there, figuring out the controller port.
It was, man, because we didn't really. I mean, the internet was starting to become a thing then, but it wasn't like you could just go Google it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And figuring that stuff out together was just absolutely amazing. And watching their minds kind of explode that this is what video games are doing. It's just an awesome, awesome time. So, all right, now that you've heard our stories, we'd like to share with you some from our members of our community. We asked you on Facebook, Twitter, and Discord to share your memories of gaming that had a positive impact on you. So we're going to share those here with you now because there are some really great ones. Zach, why don't you kick things off?
Sure, I'm going to start off. It's a lengthier one. A lot of lengthy responses to this topic. I feel like people really wanted to share their stories. This one's from Oscar Decker. For me, it's my own story. I grew up in an area with serious drug and violence issues. Most of the people that I knew as a kid are either dead or in jail, and it could have been so easy for me to be in the streets and become just another one of those statistics, but, and as cliche as this might sound, video games saved my life. Gaming is what kept me off the streets and taught me so many things like critical thinking, driving, and too many other to list. My grandparents saw this and catered to that and bought me new games for getting good grades and such, which in turn made me enjoy school and take it all the way to becoming the first in my family to graduate college. So gaming has always played a pivotal role in my life. Most of my friends who I have now I've met because of video games, from those late nights playing GoldenEye, Pokemon Stadium, and WCW vs. NWO Revenge in basements, Tetris Attack with my mom and her friends along with their kids, all the way to meeting so many people by playing Halo 2 on Xbox Live and meeting people in communities such as this one. I am so grateful for video games and the industry for helping me make friends, live out fantasies and game worlds, and ultimately keeping me alive. So much so that when I was asked once to write about the first time I fell in love, I didn't go the cliche route and write about my girlfriend, who I've been with for 13 years, but instead, I wrote from the perspective of 6-year-old me and the first time I played SMB, Super Mario Brothers, on NES on my birthday because gaming was my first love. Gaming, just like fine art, is good for the world, and just like fine art, gaming at times can be highly misunderstood.
Wow, that was well stated, man.
What a tale!
I love that.
Oscar,
Philosophical.
That was very good. I really like that story. That's another story. Gaming saved his life, like he said, and I'd be curious to hear what his girlfriend said about that story. But
I hope she didn't hold it against him. But you never know.
I mean, Super Mario Brothers was one of my first loves as well too. I mean. And this may sound sad, and maybe it's because I'm jaded because I play so many video games, or I'm spoiled because the games are just so on such a grander scale than they were when we were kids. I feel like I'll never feel about another game like I did those early days of Nintendo when things as simple, and I say that in air quotes, as Super Mario Brothers or Bubble Bobble were just the coolest thing I had ever seen, and I could not wait to get my hands on a new cartridge to go see what's in that cave in Hyrule in the original Legend of Zelda. Or the excitement when Super Metroid 3 commercial came on TV, and I had no idea it existed, and I just about lost my mind as a kid. I miss being that excited about games and just having that love and adoration for this hobby. Good call. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the next one. This one comes from John Jerome. He on Facebook said, "My family and I watch a lot of movies, but a good story game gives us many more hours of enjoyment and bonding together. Making choices in games like Life is Strange and Telltale Games has brought us many treasured moments hanging out together and enjoying gaming as a family." And I think John echoes pretty much what I said about gaming with my family, which is very cool. And I love that he brought up the Telltale Games because those are fun games to play with a group. I mean, it's only one person playing, but when you've got a couple decisions to make and letting everybody weigh in about what you're going to say next and seeing the impact it has, I think that's really cool. The first time I played, oh man, help me out. What was that game with Hayden Panettiere? Until
Dawn.
Yeah, we all got it at the same time. That's good.
Yeah,
great game.
The first time I played Until Dawn, I was sitting down in the basement with my buddy Jeff, who he played games as a kid, but he likes RPGs. Not a big action game guy. And I said, why don't you check out this game with me? It's kind of like an interactive movie. And he sat down, and thankfully that game doesn't have a timer on its decisions. You can take as much time as you want. And we sat there and debated, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Played through the entire game in one sitting. The entire game. And this is a guy that doesn't play games. And he's not technically family, but he's one of my closest friends, and it was a very, very cool moment. So these things are really cool. All right, Patrick, I think you're up next.
All right, from the Gaming Outsider online community manager, Matt Hacksaw Sattler on Facebook said, In college, I used my Xbox as a way of outreach. I was on the campus ministers team and one of the men's dorm ministers. I would host NCAA, Halo, Madden, FIFA tournaments a lot. I am so sorry. There are weird commas everywhere here. I would host NCAA, Halo, Madden, and FIFA tournaments a lot and used that way to reach out to people. I made so many friends, one of which was my best man in my wedding. Games really helped me reach a lot of people I wouldn't have otherwise. And, it's the same. I totally agree with that. That's how I made a lot of my friends nowadays, is through games. And I wouldn't have met them otherwise. So they really are a good way to just kind of bond with people you may not have talked to otherwise, just kind of competing against them, or like Twitch, for example, was a great way that I bonded with video game communities. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
Well said.
I mean, Scott and I knew each other, but I think we really bonded through Gears of War, as I'm sure we've talked about on the show several times. But
Yeah, I feel like I met you when you were much, much younger. How old? Like, were you like 10 or 12 when I first met you?
young. Let's just say young.
Let's say young.
Let's not give away the game here.
Yeah, and then Gears of War, which I'm going to get. Actually, you know what? That brings up a great point here. The next one comes from Aaron Peterson on Facebook. He says, I gave up gaming entirely for most of my adult years. Too busy being a dad, and that takes priority. My son asked me to play Gears of War with him on Christmas, the first year it was out, and I was hooked. I bought my own, and we played more together that Christmas than I had played in total for my entire life. And that same game introduced me to one of my now closest friends, and another semi-enjoyable Texan that I still play with on a regular basis. And Aaron's point here is valid. I met you, Zach. Like you said, I didn't really get to know each other well until Gears. One of my co-hosts from The Hollywood Outsider, we met on Gears of War.
Yeah.
That is a 100% true story. Never knew the guy at all. Played with him on Gears of War, and he was just a riot. And we wound up, you can friend request people on Xbox, and just kept lining up games and meeting up online, and then we did a podcast together.
I met a buddy, Chaz, online, and unbelievably, he went to the same school I went to.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
Like, that was pretty cool. We made a really good friend that way. Yeah, Gears of War brings people together, but none of us talk in lobbies anymore, so it'll never happen again.
Well, we do when it's all people we know.
So
when
you do
we
private chat, you do party chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't ever.
I was in a wedding 2 or 3 weeks ago. My buddy Mike Card, who we used to podcast together. I met him on a Rotten Tomatoes video game forum about 15, 20 years ago, which is funny because I was, like I said, I was in his wedding, and I didn't find out until I was doing the speech at his wedding that when I met him online, he was like 16.
Oh wow!
I had no idea, and now I'm in his wedding. That was a surreal experience, but it was. Now I'm traveling across the country to go celebrate his the marriage of between him and his wife. I never would have met him if we didn't love games.
Yeah, Gears of War, a beautiful thing. Thanks, Aaron, for sharing the story. Since you got a cool ass kid.
Yeah. I got one more here, and much like Zach's, this one's a little long, but this was too good not to share. And I'll try to go quickly, but man, this story is good. This one comes from Brandon Smith on Discord, and he says, So, I've been playing Final Fantasy XI for years. For those who aren't familiar with the series, 11 was the first MMO game in the series. And while there are certainly better examples of ways that video games have been a positive impact on the world outside, there is one thing that comes to mind immediately when I think about this topic. It's a little thing, but it really stuck with me. Some years back, an expansion to the game introduced a brand new feature where every player in the game could complete a quest complete a quest to acquire their own NPC character who would fight alongside them in battle, making certain content in the game suddenly much more doable by single players in small groups. Everyone was excited about it, so much so that on the day of launch, hundreds of players on each server, most of the population, immediately jumped on this quest. Now, this is not a situation where each player had to enter some sort of instance battlefield where they could complete the quest without interference from others. Instead, everyone had to go to the same points in the game's world and inspect an object at each place, which would trigger a short cutscene and spawn a monster that had to be defeated by that player. There was also a short wait time between one player completing the task and another player being able to start it. This very easily could have been a disaster, with hundreds of players still crowding around on top of these spots and clicking furiously, hoping to snag the next window. Or even worse, waiting for someone else to spawn the monster and then killing it before they had a chance. It's even possible that the first few players to attempt the quest ran into this exact problem. All I know is, by the time I got to the first of these great quest markers, what I found was a single file line of players, patiently waiting as the person at the front of the line completed their task, bowed courteously to the other person waiting behind them, and then trotted along to the next location. The line inched forward, as it does when you wait in line to buy tickets to a show or anything of that sort. One by one, each player got what they came for, and nobody had to wait any longer than anyone else. Nobody tried to cut in line. Nobody even questioned what was going on. As each new player arrived on the scene, they would stand aside for a few moments and as they surveyed the situation, and inevitably each one would simply run to the back of the line and wait. This experience gave me hope for humanity. Not only was this experience on the particular server where I played the game at the time, but I have since met players who were on the servers at that time, and it turns out that this is exactly what others experienced as well. Talk about synchronicity. And man, Brandon, thank you so much for that story, and I apologize for the length of it, but I got goosebumps just thinking about that, because I just can't imagine something like that happening today. Like, it would just be a madhouse. So
Yeah, it would not happen today.
It really wouldn't.
I mean, that's what I say, I guess, but I could be proven wrong. But that's really cool, man.
I mean, you've heard communities in like the Fortnite, like kind of gathering together to witness an event without trying to kill each other.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah,
it's true.
Just like looking up at the meteors or whatever. Yeah, that's a really good point, Pat.
Until the one guy destroys the tower that they're all standing on and gets 57 kills at one time.
And then apologizes for it later.
Well, if he apologizes, then who cares? Come on. He's sorry. Mm-hmm.
He's got the most kills in a single match in Fortnite ever. Because that one thing. So, man, that was some great stories, and that's all we're going to get to now just for sake of time. Well, I don't know about you, but I think he picked pretty good ones. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, he could have done better.
Could have done better? Or you could have done better?
Well, no, certainly not me.
Okay, well, definitely not me. So, but he could have chosen. Okay.
No, they were all great, Scott. Relax.
Well, thank you very much to Nate for splicing those together. We really do appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Rest assured, we will be back next week with our regular episode, although it's going to be another weird episode because we're going to be doing our Game of the Year discussion. Grant Henry, legendary musician from Stemmage and Metroid Metal, will be there to moderate that for us. Very much looking forward to it.
Steven Universe's own Stemmage.
Yeah, also Bubsy, Paws of Fury. He did the entire soundtrack for that game. So shout out to that guy.
He's kind of a big shot, this guy, isn't he?
I know, right? He did Runner 3.
The next year, he's not going to come back to do this with us.
I know. He's going to be too big for us, for sure. Yeah. But before we head out of here, guys, I just want to say thanks again so much for listening to this podcast each and every week. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support on Patreon. For all of our Patreon subscribers, you guys help keep the show alive. And like Zach said last week, helps us able to take breaks now and then, and we really, really do appreciate it. Zach, anything to add?
No, yeah. Thanks to anybody who listens, but a special big thanks to the patrons and especially the Discord community. Love that little group.
Yeah, great group over there. And from the bottom of our hearts, or at least the bottom of mine, hope you guys all have a wonderful time with your families over this holiday season, and that you have a wonderful new year. And as we head out, just want to remind you one last time, for the year, as we start 2020, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.